Hi guys, today I'm going to show you how I photographed this image at home and with a phone. Let's get into it. Hi guys, it's Arjun. I'm a commercial travel and automotive photographer based out of Mumbai. Since the last few months, we've all been stuck at home. So I started photographing my action figures and trying to create unique worlds out of them. Since most of us don't have access to a studio or professional gear, the challenge is basically to create at home with things you have around. Mostly like household objects. So today I'm going to break down this image which I shot at home a couple of days back. I'm going to take you behind the scenes of how exactly I shot it and a bit of post-production so you get an idea of how I went about the process. Mind you, this video is non-sponsored, so whatever I'm saying is my genuine opinion. So this concept of time travel struck me when I was looking at my ring light. If you have the right perspective, the right scale and probably some smoke effects, perhaps this could pull off for a portal. So that was the base of the idea, and then I started referencing for how my final look should be. This included lighting, composition, and of course look and feel. So I finalized on these two references. This reference is from Blade Runner 2049. If you haven't watched the film, I don't want to spoil it for you, but it's a visual treat. I like the atmosphere, the buildings at the back, and how there's a gradual fade which shows you scale and which shows you distance. So I had to keep that in mind. And my second reference was a Star Wars fan art. I love the shadow play of this image. It almost feels like the sun is bursting through these patches of clouds, and also references for dust flowing. So these are things I kept in mind before I started photographing, which gave me a complete idea of how my final image should look like. Now it all comes down to props that would sell the effect. I'm sitting in India and I have a bunch of home decor and souvenirs from all across India, and I realized that I could probably sell an effect of an ancient lost Indian civilization with all the props that I had. For this image, my lovely wife Alicia was helping me out. I wanted to show desert environment and I knew I wanted to use flour, but flour needs to be on a surface. So I used bedsheets and towels on which I dusted some flour, and from the camera angle it looks like sand dunes. So that worked out pretty well. And notice how I used a white background to separate the foreground. This will be useful in the post-processing. And now that the setup is complete, it's the easier part, which is photography. For me, the shooting process begins with a sturdy tripod. Once I have the camera angle locked, I can go ahead and tweak the smaller things and make sure everything's aligned in a way that you really need. For this image, I used the Gitso system. I'm in love with this brand, but more on that in a separate video. Since phone cameras do not allow aperture control to show depth, it's a good idea to rack focus. So basically divide your shot into 2 or 3 parts. You can photograph them separately with manual focus, which is fantastic. And then in post, you can basically combine these 3 shots to have one image with a good depth of field. I want to highlight a few features that I really love with the Note 20 Ultra. Number 1, the S Pen. I always thought the S Pen is more like a gimmick. I mean, who really makes handwritten notes, right? But no, once I got used to it, it was so addictive, and I wish my other phones had it. I used the S Pen to create editable storyboards, but most of all, I used the S Pen as a remote shutter release, which was amazing because I didn't need to be behind the camera while photographing. I could be anywhere around the room. I could just press a button which is on the S Pen itself, and voila, it clicks. Second would be obviously the amazing sensor. It's got a 108 megapixel RAW file. Now RAW files give you a good dynamic range, which is important, and you have better control over colors. So win-win. Now that the shooting part is over, let me quickly break down the post-processing of it so that you get a better understanding of how I went about the editing process. So I shot 3 images and I focus stacked all of them, and this is what we ended up with. Next step is to eliminate the white backdrop. Now I replaced the sky with a color which is consistent with the foreground. I added a simple fade between the foreground and the midground, and this basically pulled your attention towards the car and Batman. Next, I added an image inside the portal, which makes you feel like it's another dimension, and also some dust particles scattered around the scene. A few light leaks here and there, which basically give you an impression as if there's light falling through the clouds. And next, I added headlights to the tumbler. That turned out pretty well. And the final process is the color correction. And color correction, I had references from Blade Runner itself. So I tried to match that as much as I could. And that is your final image. Also, if you like this video, you found some value out of it, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Apparently it helps me out. Please suggest how I can make this better, and if you would like me to do more of these. Thanks so much. Stay hydrated. Until next time.